You ever find yourself watching a movie and you keep turning up your TV speakers, but the sound doesn't get any clearer? If that's you, you're not alone. This weekend, my wife and I went off for just a quick getaway. We spent the night in a hotel, had a decent Samsung TV, and we were watching a show. And I kept having to ask her, I'm like, what did they just say? And she would repeat it. Sometimes she didn't know. And so I thought, I was like, man, am I going deaf? What's going on? So I continued to turn the TV up to 100%. But I still found myself frustrated because I could not understand the dialogue very clearly. Well, if you can relate to that, this video is for you. So in this video, I want to share with you 5 levels of progression to improve that dialogue to get a much better movie watching experience. So the first step is to add a soundbar. Now I know you're going to say, Michael, you love home theater. Why in the world are you encouraging people to buy a soundbar? Here's the reality. I understand that sometimes a soundbar is an appropriate upgrade to TV speakers. You're going to get a better experience because those TV speakers typically are firing to the rear of the TV, to the front wall. They're reflecting around the TV. It's getting muffled. So by adding a dedicated soundbar, you now have speakers aimed directly at your listening position. Now, do I think soundbars are amazing? No. Have I ever owned a soundbar? No. Have I heard some? Yes. And I've yet to be like really impressed with them. But again, I know soundbars are inexpensive. You can get them for 300 bucks, 400 bucks, depending on the level. Some of them go up to thousands of dollars. I think if you're going to spend that kind of money, go to one of these other options I'm going to share with you in a few moments. Now, one thing about soundbars, a lot of these brands will say, man, they're Dolby Atmos enabled. So they've got up-firing speakers and they promise that, promise you the world that you're going to get this massive immersive experience. I'm telling you guys, don't fall into the hype. I've yet to experience a Dolby Atmos soundbar that provides an amazing experience. Again, it's going to be better than your TV speakers, but just don't expect a miracle from it. But adding a soundbar is going to be a much better experience than just your TV speakers. That would be the first kind of baby step if you're wanting to get better sound out of your system. Baby step number 2 is add a subwoofer to that soundbar. If you just have a soundbar, yes, you're getting better dialogue, better clarity, but you're missing out on impact. When a car explodes or when there's a gunshot or any kind of rumble, maybe in Jurassic Park where a bunch of the dinosaurs are running and stomping and you're feeling the earth shake, or something like Kong versus Godzilla, those things require a subwoofer to really, really enjoy that experience and to feel that impact. Now, typically, again, going back to the soundbar, most soundbars, if they come with a subwoofer, it's going to be really small. It may have a 5-inch driver, 6.5-inch driver. It could have an 8-inch driver. And that's going to be decent. You're going to hear the bass, but you're not going to feel the bass. You're not going to pressurize the room and really get the impact that you could get with a much bigger subwoofer. So if the soundbar allows you to do your own subwoofer, a 12-inch, a 15-inch, even an 18-inch, man, that's going to really enhance that soundbar all the more. But having a soundbar with a subwoofer, man, that's a great first step and would give you a much better experience over your TV speakers. So the third thing you can do, this would be a significant improvement over that, is to get something like a 2-channel streamer. I just recently did a review on the Weem Amp Ultra. Super phenomenal product. I had a blast playing with that, setting it up in my living room. Basically, it's got a built-in amplifier. It's got a streaming capability. So if you love music like Spotify and different things like that, it's built into that. But then the other benefit is it has HDMI ARC. And what HDMI ARC allows you to do is connect, say, your TV to that streamer. And then now all your shows that you're streaming from, Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, Amazon Prime, all of those things, all that sound gets routed from your TV into the streamer and then out from the streamer through its amplifier to your speakers. And so you're going to need 2 speakers, and I would recommend a subwoofer. So this is similar to a soundbar, but you're going to get a much better experience having something like a dedicated amplifier streamer with power versus like a soundbar. And then the other benefit is now you can kind of pick and choose what speakers and what subwoofer that you want. So let's say you wanted some bookshelves, or maybe you want some bigger tower speakers, that would allow you so much more flexibility than just a sound bar with the built-in, little 2.5-inch woofers. So you could get some towers with maybe dual 8-inch drivers or dual 6-inch drivers. You can get some bookshelves, put them on a stand. There's a lot of affordable ways. One thing I want you guys to understand in home theater is you don't have to spend a fortune to get a cool setup, to have a much better experience than just your TV. So there's a lot of great options out there, budget-friendly options from Klipsch and Polk Audio. ELAC is a phenomenal brand, super affordable. Check them out. I've done some videos on their bookshelf speakers, couple $100 for a pair. You can't beat it, but get that paired up with a subwoofer. I mean, you've got a rock solid setup. So I'll link that streamer down in the description if you want to check that out. Now, step number 4 is going to take your system to a whole new level. So instead of just having 2 speakers up front and a subwoofer for the impact, now you're going to be adding speakers around your room. You're going to add a dedicated center channel. You're going to add 2 speakers, and this is what we call a 5.1 system. So you have 5 speakers and 1 subwoofer, a left channel, a center channel, right channel, and then you've got 2 surround sound speakers. And so what this is going to do is allow the movie, all the sound, to be able to travel around you, to envelop you, rather just the sound coming from the front, like where your TV is, to your listening position. So this is a phenomenal setup. This is what I started my home theater journey probably about 30 years ago, back in the days of Dolby Pro Logic. You pair this with an AVR, which is an AV receiver. Think of the AVR as like a hub. The hub, you plug everything into it, your Apple TV, your PlayStation 5, your Xbox. You can plug in a Blu-ray player, 4K player, things like that. You plug everything into that, typically through HDMI. And then you have one HDMI cable going to your TV. If it has ARC and eARC, or either one of those, ARC or eARC, you're going to be able to send the sound from your TV back to the AVR, then out from the AVR to your speakers, these 5 speakers, the 1 subwoofer, and you're going to get an amazing experience. And so this really adds to the realism of the movie. It's going to help pull you in, help you feel like you're in the movie. And again, you can go as little or as budget friendly as you want. I mean, I've reviewed full 5.1 systems for like, I don't know, $1,200. Sometimes you can get them for less. If you go in the used market, of course, you can find a whole lot more bang for your buck in the used market. So there's really no excuse why you can't get a cool, great sounding setup in your living room or bedroom or even a dedicated theater room, and not necessarily having to spend a fortune. But going to a 5.1 setup, man, would be a massive, massive improvement over just your TV speakers. If you want to take that 5.1 to the next level, now you're talking what we call Dolby Atmos, DTS:X, Oro 3D. These are surround sound formats that add height speakers. So not only do you have sound that is traveling around you in the front and the left and the rear and the back left, now you're adding a bubble of sound that the sound engineers, when they're making a movie like A Quiet Place, if you've got overhead speakers, you physically hear the monster from like the top left speaker. And then he walks over above you because he's upstairs, and he walks over to the top right speaker. And then you hear him breathing, and your subwoofer, you're feeling him breathe. And then he comes back over to the top left speaker, and then he begins to walk down the stairs. So the sound travels from the front left top down to the front left speaker, and then he pans off to the side, and so now it's going from the front left to the side surround. And then if you got rear surrounds like I do in my theater room, now it's moving to the surround left. And so this is just an incredibly immersive experience. And so I love Dolby Atmos. There's some guys that'll say, oh, Dolby Atmos is a bunch of crap. It's kind of it's hokey. No, it's not. If you think it's hokey, you don't have your theater room set up properly. I'm telling you, you need to calibrate it. You need to place them where they are supposed to be placed. And if you do that, and you got some good speakers, you're going to get a phenomenal stinking setup. You're going to have a great experience. And so in my dedicated theater room, these steps have been my journey minus the sound bar. I initially started with 2 speakers, then later on I added a subwoofer, later on I added 2 subwoofers, then I went to a 5.1 system, then way down the road, I was kind of a late adopter to Dolby Atmos. I added, I built my dedicated theater room here 20 years ago, and then we slowly just began to build the system over time. Do not be afraid to build it over time. But I'm telling you, if you're just rocking TV speakers, you are missing out. Movies are so much more exciting when you've got nice speakers, good subwoofer, and ideally you want to begin to build the system out to where you've got sound coming all around you, above you. You've got really, really solid subwoofers so that you can get the impact from the movie. Man, as you can tell, I love home theater, man. It's so, so amazing. I just know that when Jessica and I were um, at the beach condo and we're sitting there in the hotel, I was extremely disappointed because I could not hear the stinking dialogue. And so if you got questions on this, man, I'd love to help you out. Reach out to me down in the description or down in the comments. Let me know, what challenges do you have? Where are you at? Have you gone with a soundbar? Have you added a subwoofer? Do you have a 2.1 setup or 5.1, 9.1, whatever, Dolby Atmos setup? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to have some conversation with you. If you need help on this stuff, reach out to me, myself, Youthman at obsessedhometheater.com. I'd love to have a conversation with you and see if we can kind of point you in the right direction. Now, if you need anything for your home theater, we're authorized dealers for a lot of different brands, a lot of companies we're already adding to our website, obsessedhometheater.com. So if we can be of help to you, we'd love to earn your business. So guys, I hope you have an incredible week. God bless, and I will catch you in the next video.